Today's video is the blunder from down under himself, Mitchell from Australia. Yeah, he likes to drink the flat earth Kool-Aid. Alright, let's get this disaster train rolling.
We've all seen the evidence for curvature, usually a ship disappearing bottom up, or objects being cut off from the bottom, and sometimes power lines dropping down over the assumed curve. But globe believers will tell you this can only be due to the Earth curve.
You are correct, sir!
And when they are presented with images of objects visible from further than their reified model predicts, they claim refraction or looming, and that the object is actually a hologram.
No.
Now, flat earthers have given us a much better understanding of why we see these phenomena.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
From tidal surges and mirages, to shoaling, atmospheric blockage, and of course, angular resolution, which are all demonstrably valid. But for all of these images to be validated due to curvature, we first need to ask a very critical question. How is water sticking to your curve?
Gravity, you fucking retard! Gravity! Have you ever heard of fucking gravity? Gravity! Gravity!
Gravity, of course, the ballers say. Mass of the water is attracted to the mass of the Earth. Well, that's a problem, isn't it? Because mass doesn't attract mass, as per Newtonian gravity.
Our survey said...
That's over 100 years old, and outdated, and no longer accepted science.
Sweet Clyde, laugh derisively at him.
It has been superseded by Einstein's theory of general relativity. Described as the bending of the conceptual medium of space-time, and being described in all accounts of mainstream science as not a force. Rightly so, because a concept not give rise to a force.
Gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force. Maybe that's the best way of putting it.
Yep.
George Musa, 2019, describing every single glober's problem with gravity.
You're an idiot.
It is not a force, but everybody imagines it as a force. Thinking of it as a force is not going to make it a force.
The reason the bowling ball and the feather fall together is because they're not falling. They're standing still. There is no force acting on them at all.
Did you give Mr. Richfield some of that plant?
My special
Oh,
wow! Blaze all through my brain. Let me find, don't seem the same. Acting funny, and I don't know why.
Mr. Richfield?
Excuse me, while I kiss the sky. Now, 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 over now, yeah. What's shaking, baby?
Brian Cox gets it. There is no force acting on them at all.
No! No!
From the University of Caltech, Einstein came up with the theory of general relativity 1915, the prototype of all modern gravitational theories. Its crucial ingredient involving a colossal intellectual jump is the concept of gravitation, not as a force, but as a manifestation of the curvature of space-time. From Universe Today, in general relativity, gravity is not a force. From Wikipedia, gravity is not a force. From the Physics Hyper textbook, gravity isn't a force. From physics.org, according to this theory, gravity is not a force.
So I gotta debunk this. Oh, very well. You see, there's two kinds of gravity. Is I think um, local gravity, which is basically what they call Newtonian gravity, and universal gravity, which is Einsteinian gravity. Uh, Newtonian gravity is a force because it has a vector down towards the center of Earth or any planetary body or sun or whatever. Einsteinian gravity is not a force. It does not have a vector. It's just a warping of the space time. And yep, this ding dong is thinking, gravity is not a force, which he's talking about Einsteinian gravity. Thus, all gravity is not a force. Yeah, like I said earlier, sipping the flat Earth Kool-Aid.
Gravity is not a force, and that's a big problem for you globers, because if there is no force holding water to any of your curvature, every single example of curvature you give us is null and void. There can be no curvature. Curvature does not exist, and therefore the globe does not exist. No! The question, any evidence of Earth curvature, is now redundant. It has been superseded by any evidence Earth curvature can exist. We don't allow you to beg the question of objects in space because you have not yet demonstrated that we can have gas pressure without a container.
It's finally happened. You've lost your mind.
In order for space to be a real place. So now we are not letting you beg the question of Earth curvature or anything travelling over Earth curvature, because you have not yet proven that Earth curvature can exist in the first instance. So now that we know that Earth curvature does not exist, we can go back to understanding why it really is that objects disappear from the bottom up. This observation of angular resolution is a good place to start. It shows an object disappearing from the bottom up over a flat surface.
Our survey said...
But as you can see, it is not just the horizontal plane that this is observed, it is also the vertical plane and every other plane we see things on. Angular resolution is part of everything that we see with our eyes, with a camera, with a telescope. Everything optical is affected by angular resolution. And it is observed that a part of an object will always disappear before the entire object. The colours on this cardboard will begin to disappear from the surface outwards.
Our survey said...
Can anyone point to the yellow, green, blue? No, only the black is now visible. Because of angular resolution, the viewing angle is now too small.
Even if they're small, those colors are still there, you kuyo. All you gotta do is zoom in on it.
And it's not because of Earth curvature, because we know the globe is not real. We checked.
Check again.
And as you can see, the camera is definitely not below the level of this surface, and there's definitely no glass over it. Stay tuned for part 3, where I'll be going over misconceptions of perspective.
Oh, hell no!
Among other observations of angular resolution.
Alright, the Blunder from Down Under, Mitchell from Australia, has been properly dispatched. Okay, now for some serious stuff. Below, I got some links to some organizations where you could donate to help the Australians in this time of crisis. So, if you can, please help them out. And I'll see you later.